All right, guys, BDK has a brand spanking new fragrance out, and it's exclusively selling at Harrods. I've got a bottle of it here. I haven't got my nose on it yet. I'm gonna let you know all about this new fragrance called Nectar Oud, a Harrods exclusive. This is an EXtrait Parfum. So the brand usually releases Eau de Parfum fragrances, but they have launched 3 EXtrait Parfum fragrances from existing EDP or Eau de Parfum fragrances. This is the first time they've gone straight to EXtrait Parfum, and I'm going to let you know all about this one. But if you've gotten your nose on Nectar Oud, let us know what it's all about. Add a comment below so we can all find out about it as I open this box up and get my nose on it as well and let you know what I get from it. This is a 2025 launch. It's an Anne Flipo creation. She's a perfumer over at IFF, International Flavors and Fragrances, where perfumers like Dominique Ropion are. Who else is there now? So Julien Rasquinet was there before, and he created several fragrances that I really love from him, but he left to go to CPL Aromas just as I was starting my project with Juicebox on 54. But there's a lot of other perfumers there. I'll have to do a video on IFF perfumers in the future. Let me know if you guys are up for that. But let's talk a little bit about this one. As I said, it's an EXtrait Parfum. It's considered a woody, fruity, leathery fragrance. It's currently selling for 100 ml for £250. That's the UK currency. And again, it's a Harrods exclusive. So the notes breakdown I took directly from the Harrods website. Top notes, we've got saffron, raspberry, and amyris. Heart notes, we've got rose, olibanum oil, and resin, leather, cypriol, and amber. Finally, in the base notes, we've got benzoin resin, atlas cedar, patchouli, gaiac wood, amber wood, and oud. I'm not too familiar with Anne Flipo doing oud fragrances. I know she's got Oud Blanc for Van Cleef & Arpels. Not one of my favorite fragrances, unfortunately, but I do enjoy her floral fragrances. She's got a fragrance for Rain de Saba, Rain Maqueda, one of my favorite fragrances of hers. But of course, I really love the fragrance she created for Frederic Malle called Synthetic Nature, which used to be called Synthetic Jungle. So as I said, if you've gotten your nose on this one, let us know. I don't know if it's going to be permanently a Harrods exclusive or not. I believe that BDK launched Vanille Leather as an exclusive to Harrods. So most likely this is not a permanent exclusive. But as you can see right here, it does say Harrods exclusive all over it. All right, let's open it up and see what it's all about. So I'm going to tell you what the fragrance is all about, test it out, perhaps pause the video, come back to it. But along the way, I'm also going to let you know about some of their other fragrances and also what I think should be made into an EXtrait Parfum in the future. It's interesting, some brands only launch EDPs and then they go on to make EXtrait Parfum of existing fragrances. And then they also start launching fragrances that are strictly EXtrait Parfum fragrances, but nobody ever seems to do an EDP of an EXtrait Parfum, whereas if a fragrance is already EDP, they'll, like Tom Ford does Parfum concentration, and then they've also done Eau de Toilette concentration, for example, for Black Orchid, but some of the niche houses tend to stick to just moving from an Eau de Parfum to a EXtrait Parfum or something. So let's look at the bottle. So from what I read, actually I wrote it down, I'm going to read it to you guys. Juicy and dense, majestic and smoky, Gustav Klimt's gilded canvases provide the inspiration for the warm and sweet notes of the Nectar Oud EXtrait Parfum by BDK Parfums. The scent explores 3 raw components, raspberry, oud, and saffron, to create an enchanting union of wood and fruit. So I wonder if this started out as a Eau de Parfum but smelled better as an EXtrait Parfum, because now that I've got that fragrance experience, working on a fragrance with the Juicebox, our fragrance started out as a 20, but it smelled better as a 22% concentration. So I wonder if that's what happened with this, or if their goal was to create an EXtrait Parfum right away. So here we have the bottle. It's super gorgeous, but I feel like it's a bit smudgy. Something is on the label. Okay, it's kind of moved off of it, but here it is. Very luxurious bottle. It's a gold cap, but they already have gold caps. All right, so let's see what it's all about. let's go in. Let me know if you've gotten your nose on this, as I said, and also if you love it, if you don't like it, what do you think about it? Add a comment below. So first off, giving me that whole Middle Eastern oudi vibe right off the bat. So the fruitiness is there. Immediately what I smelled was the oud. So the oud was pretty prominent. So going back to what I read, raspberry, oud, and saffron, I think they've pretty much captured it here. And also, when you're smelling it, it's kind of syrupy, drippy, honeyed. It doesn't smell like honey, but kind of syrupy, honeyed. So there's a syrupy kind of jammy experience there. The fruitiness of the raspberry is very, very prominent. I don't want to say this, but it kind of gives me the moon vibes from Frederic Malle, created by Julian Rasconnais. Not identical, but that raspberry is giving me that kind of a vibe because the moon does have raspberry in the notes. I think it's in that kind of a style. The oud is not animalic. It's a very wearable oud. Again, a Western oud, not the real. It's probably a Oud-Powered. But I'm liking what I'm smelling because the moon is one of my favorite fragrances. And this is reminding me of the moon. Okay, I'm going to put it on skin now. Let's let that dry. And let's go back to some of the other fragrances. So this is the 4th EXtrait de Parfum fragrance from BDK. At least that's what I think. We have Gris Charnel EXtrait de Parfum, which launched first as an EXtrait de Parfum. I guess most importantly because that is the most popular, the most successful fragrance for the brand. Number 2 was Passoir EXtrait de Parfum. My favorite fragrance of the house. I love it. Earlier this year, or was it last year, they launched Rouge Smoking EXtrait de Parfum. To me, this is so potent. It's nose blinding. I think there's a lot of ambroxany type notes in there, amber molecules. So it really overwhelms. I got to come back to that and smell it again. But those are the 3 EXtrait de Parfum fragrances that they have already launched, and now we have a brand spanking new launch, Nectar Oud, as a Harrods exclusive. I personally don't think this is going to be a permanent exclusive for Harrods. I'm sure you'll get the rollout everywhere else. Now, I did say it reminded me of the moon, but it's not identical. It gives me that kind of a vibe, and I think it's because the moon does have oud, another Western oud. It's not like the night from Frederic Malle, which is all animalic and the all natural kind. This does have the fruitiness, the oudiness, and that I believe the moon also had saffron. This does have saffron in it for sure. And these are the 3 main notes. Now the fragrances go in different direction. This to me smells a little bit more medicinal. I feel like there's something medicinal happening in here. Most likely it's from that cypriol note or from the resins like the olibanum and the oil and the resin that's in here. But it's giving me more of something medicine-like happening. Whereas I didn't get that from the moon. Also, the moon is not an eau it's an eau de parfum, not an EXtrait de Parfum. So it doesn't act as dense as this, but I get great longevity from the moon. And I feel like this is going to be also really great, long lasting. It's quite oily, as you can see on skin. I sprayed like 4 sprays, I believe. I'm liking this, actually. I mentioned recently in a video that I'm kind of circling back to oud. I'm enjoying it, but I'm actually enjoying more of the Western variety of oud, which is obviously not the real thing. I kind of got bored of it, but I feel like oud and fruits together really kind of make the fragrance smell a little more fun and playful rather than being all serious. And it brightens up the fragrance and the oudiness of whatever kind of oud they have in here or the accord to make it a bit more accessible. You know, it's not dark and gloomy and smoky and animalic and leathery and all that. So I am not getting much rose. I feel like the raspberry is covering up the rose. It's also starting to slowly get a little bit leathery, which I feel like I get from not only the saffron, also the leather that's in here. But I feel like it's blended nicely. This doesn't smell anything like Oud Blanc from Van Cleef & Arpels, which is also created by Anne Flipo. This is totally different. Oud Blanc is like a clean, pure kind of an oud. It also leans a bit gourmand. I think there's vanilla in that. This doesn't have any kind of vanillic things happening. I think the only gourmandesque note that's in here is the raspberry, but very much reminding me of the moon, but much more dense, concentrated. And even though going back to the moon, I really love that in an eau de parfum concentration. It doesn't feel heavy. This does feel heavier. Those of you that like strong fragrances, I think will be satisfied with this. If you like the moon, I think you should check this out. but the moon does have great longevity. I'm going to also say it's reminding me of the moon. It's not identical. I feel like the raspberry kind of smells different here. The raspberry here is juicier. This is a much juicier fragrance in comparison to the moon. The moon to me is quite dry. This does have that kind of syrupy golden glow, and I can kind of see that with the fact that it's inspired from Gustav Klimt's Gilded canvases, all gold. By the way, if you guys are ever in San Francisco, if you ever head to the Redwood Room, there's a whole bunch of Gustav Klimt paintings, not the real things, hanging in that, it's a bar, basically, a very historic bar. And I can see the color of his paintings, and also the color of this bottle, which is quite luxurious. I absolutely love the color scheme here. The kind of, the darker, kind of, clear at the top, and it gets darker in the bottom, and how the gold label, totally contrasts against that. Not only does it contrast against the lightness, and also the darkness in the bottom. So the consensus here for me, I enjoy this one. I like the fact that it's... Oh, one more thing I should say. Oud Maracuja. There is a slight hint of that as well, but I feel like I get more of the moon than Oud Maracuja. Although the fruitiness here is a bit more like Oud Maracuja than the moon. The moon, like I said, it's drier, and the raspberry seems a bit different. And this, to me, acts a bit more like Oud Maracuja from Maison Crivelli. But again, I'm sold. It's a great quality offering. Again, it's a fruity, oudy, woody, leathery, spicy. Saffron is prominent. There's some slight metallic, spicy touches there. Just the rose doesn't come out as much, but I feel like it blends with the fruitiness, because I feel like the rose and the raspberry are kind of equals almost. Same thing with the saffron, I think. All right, let's talk a little bit about what I think BDK should do for their next Extrait de Parfum. If they're going to just continue launching Extrait de Parfum fragrances straight without any EDPs, then I guess they'll do that. But for me, I feel like Vanille Leather totally deserves an Extrait de Parfum, because it's such a great smelling fragrance. It acts a bit weak for me, unfortunately. It's a bit subdued, but I love the way it smells. It's got that kind of vintage suede leather vibe to it. It's like a nice combo of leather and vanilla with a bit of a violet-y kind of powderiness in there. So I think this one definitely deserves an Extrait de Parfum. I really love this fragrance. I haven't been mentioning it because it just seems subdued on me. And that's next to the Nectar Oud, which is the Extrait de Parfum, is so beefy and punchy and intense and dense. Vanille Leather to me seems a bit soft, but so yummy. I love this fragrance. It's such a great fragrance. Totally giving me the vintage leather vibes, which I really enjoy in fragrances. So I think this should come out as an Extrait de Parfum next. Not that I'm dictating what BDK should do, but this is just a wish that I think they could do. If they're not going to do that one, maybe Velvet Tonka. But what do you think? A Velvet Tonka is already pretty strong, right? I think it could deserve it. I mean, they've launched Extrait de Parfums of some lighter fragrances. So I think Velvet Tonka could totally deserve it. And then Tabac Rose. I think Tabac Rose is definitely another one. So these are the fragrances that I enjoy from this house. There are the citruses and the freshies in the blue bottles, which I don't think they should do Extrait de Parfums of, because those are freshies to begin with anyway. So they can just stick to having those as that. But these three, I think, deserve Extrait de Parfums, and maybe even the latest Impadia, which I think has been pretty successful for the brand. What do you guys think? Out of the four fragrances I just mentioned, which do you think should be made into an Extrait de Parfum? Let me know, add a comment below. But once again, going back to Nectar Oud, I think it's really quality. It's a great job by Anne Flipo. And I don't know her for doing ouds a lot. Again, the only oud that I know that she did is Oud Blanc from Van Cleef & Arpels. This is so different from that. Again, this is, to me, kind of like if the moon and Oud Maracuja had a baby, this is what it would be, I guess. Really punchy, really strong. I think this is totally perfect for Harrods. I don't know if this is planned. Was it an accident? Was it initially made to be an EDP, and then it turned out better in Extrait de Parfum? But I think this totally fits the clientele of Harrods. And if you're a fan of fruity ouds, definitely check this one out. I think it totally satisfies. Again, I'll also go back to saying I am starting to enjoy oudy notes again. My taste kind of goes back and forth. For the longest time, I was a big fan of oud. I kind of lost interest in it. I got bored of it. But I like a nice contrast in oud, and I think fruity notes in oud together are really great. I kind of got bored of rose and oud because that's all they did at one time. And I feel like oud and fruits is the new oud and rose, kind of, sort of. And this is another great one. And nice launch from the house of BDK. So let me know your thoughts on BDK's Nectar Oud. Add a comment below. If you've sampled it, let us know what you think about it. And I think that's all I have for you guys today. And do let me know what do you think should be the next EXtrait de Parfum from the house of BDK. Again, I don't know what they plan on doing, but I could only wish for an EXtrait of Vanille Leather. But the other fragrances also can, you know, totally warrant doing EXtrait de Parfums. And going back to the existing EXtrait de Parfums, which is your favorite? Gris Charnel, Passoir EXtrait, Rouge Smoking. Again, Rouge Smoking for me was a nose blinding fragrance. I'm gonna have to circle back to it and test it out a little more. I think there's so much ambroxan in here, just totally like that fragrance. And then also Angel Share Paradis, really overwhelming with the nose blinding ambroxan. So it makes me not appreciate it, even though I really enjoy ambroxan in fragrances. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon so you'll be notified for future videos. And also, please give a thumbs up for this video to help with the algorithm. See you guys later. Bye-bye.